Hey guys, Nary here from Drakewing Gaming. So if you know me on Twitter, the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you another Let's Play episode of Adastra. So the last place we left off, we gave Amicus a massage. He really liked it. We gave him some belly rubs, and all his dreams came true. And we're rewarded with a very cute scene. We're a very cute scene, CG scene, and well, here we are. A little bit of time has passed, and Kyllian has become a little more at home here on Adastra, and let's see what else waits for us. Alright, anyway guys, yeah, I just woke up. It's early in the morning. Well, it's 9 something right now. But yeah, sit back and enjoy and continue for the next 18 minutes, and let's jump right in. Alarm changer up, and let's go. Okay. After I'd fallen asleep next to him, we decided that there was enough room. The wolf set one of his many long pillows down between us as a courtesy to me, even if he did sometimes end up rolling over onto my end. He's been busy these past few days, and I think it's because of what happened between him and Cato. He doesn't suggest any more outings, and instead wakes up early to go to meditation before leaving for the city to do various campaigning stuff. Amicus doesn't explain exactly what that involves, but he doesn't bring me along. I ask why, considering I thought my main job was to accompany him to these things, but he just says he's not doing the stuff that involves me quite yet. Instead, my introduction to the people of Adastra is going to be during the first trial. He says the reveal will be a lot more impressive that way, and that rumors are already spreading about his new pet. That's another thing, my involvement in the trial. Apparently I'm to be his partner in the dance portion, something I have no clue how to do. I've been getting more and more worried about it, telling Amicus he actually needs to show me what I'm going to be doing, but he brushes me off, telling me it's no big deal. Apparently the dancing is rather easy, and the main objective is to just show me off. Since everyone already knows what Alex is, I should be rather impressive to the officials that will be judging us. Amicus is confident that we'll win that portion of the contest easily. Still, he promises me at least a few sessions of practice before the actual day of the competition. I realize now that that's only 3 days away, and despite Amicus's constant reassurances, I can feel the stress building. I can only trust him that the dance is actually easy and simply an opportunity to show me off. Meanwhile, half my days tend to be empty of things to do. I'm left on my own to either hang around in Amicus's room, have conversations with Com about Adastra and its culture, or just try and busy myself with menial work. Nope. Sometimes I hang out with Alex, which I enjoy, but lately I wonder if the idea that we're technically going to be competing against each other is causing a bit of a rift between us. Still, I get a lot of time with him since Cassius is out just as much as Amicus, if not more. We go out into the gardens a few times, and other times we watch Adastra and TV together, sometimes even catching Amicus or Cassius giving speeches to the seemingly endless crowds of wolves. The broadcasters seem to like tallying up numbers, and it's clear that Cassius always has an edge. Still, from what I've gathered, Amicus has had a bit of a surge, and manages to at least do better than half of Cassius's numbers. It's still a little worrying, though, but from what I can tell, popularity doesn't factor into the trials. When I'm not with Alex, I try to avoid running into any of the others, which is actually pretty easy to do. Cato is almost always absent from the palace, doing his own official business as acting emperor. Virginia hasn't bothered to talk to me after our first interaction, probably deeming me incapable of any sort of conversation. Neferu, on the other hand, is the one person I have difficulty avoiding. Unlike the others, he greets me when he sees me, and occasionally sticks out his paw so that I have to kiss it. The only difference now is that after I do it, he does the same to me. I think I gave him the false impression that it's some sort of a normal greeting from my people. He seems to enjoy it quite a bit, but only tries it when Amicus isn't around. As for Cassius, I don't see him for the entire week, until today. Oh lord. I'm in the dining room watching the screens and zoning out. The wolves are pretty talented at making basically all their films incredibly boring. It's probably something to do with long-winded monologues and theatrical acting. Alex is gone today, doing some type of ambassador work in the city, while Amicus is out with Cato, training, though he's supposed to be back in the next hour to give me that dance practice he's promised. I'm nodding off and thinking about heading back to Amicus's room to take a quick nap when Cassius suddenly comes in. He stalks in with that particular stiff gait that he has, along with his usual sour expression. Even though it's been a while since I've seen him, I haven't forgotten that look of his. I jump and quickly sit up straight, looking at the ground. There's only a moment of silence before his reedy voice breaks in. "Pet, come with me." And with that, he turns and walks and stalks right back out the room. I sit there, stunned for a moment. First of all, Amicus told Cassius never to give me commands. Does that mean that I shouldn't listen to him? I know immediately that that wouldn't be a very good idea, and I jump off my bed and hurry out into the hall. The important thing is that Amicus isn't here right now, and I know that Cassius is not someone I want to piss off. I still remember how quickly he suggested he hit me as a punishment. I'm just in time to see his white tail disappear around a corner, and I jog after him, noting just how confident he is that I'll follow him without question. I don't think he's even looked back once. I realize that we're heading out into the gardens, toward the same tables and benches that Alex and I have eaten our lunches at a few tables. A few times. That's when I see Virginia and Neferu sitting down already, cups and plates already on the table. I realize then what it is that Cassius summoned me for, and I relax a bit. After serving breakfast so many times, I know exactly what's expected of me. When Virginia spots us, she waves at Cassius, but he only grumbles under his breath. Why is he here? I see the wolf's tail lash around in irritation before it settles as we get closer to the pair. Cassius. Oh. Good morning, Virginia. And Neferu. Cassius's voice takes on a dismissive tone as he says the Jackal's name, barely even nodding his head this time. Aphotep be with you, Cassius. How are you today? Cassius's tail lashes again, but only once. Wonderful. Virginia, you didn't tell me we'd be having a guest. Virginia raises a brow. I'm sorry, did you need a warning of some kind, Cassius? Cassius sits, leaning back in his chair as he keeps his gaze on Virginia. I simply like to be prepared. There's a moment of silence, and Neferu, still smiling, looks back and forth between the brother and sister. That's right, they are brother and sister. I forgot about that. I'm sorry, am I causing an inconvenience? No, Neferu. Cassius is simply being his usual gloomy self. Cassius's paws, which are clasped on the table, tighten their grip on each other. Virginia doesn't seem to notice, though, and instead looks up at me. And you brought Kyllian. Cassius doesn't even look at me. I'm borrowing him. I bet he's doing diplomatic work in the city. Virginia rolls her eyes. Really, Cassius, you can't imagine to serve yourself even once. If I am to be emperor, I need to act like one. And please leave questioning me for another time. I don't want to be rude to our guest. Cassius smiles at Neferu, though it looks forced. After a moment of tense silence, another moment of tense silence, I take it as an opportunity to do my work. Me? Serve now! I almost snicker at my own caveman speech. Yes, pet. I go about serving him, picking up slices of bread of baked and seasoned bread off the platter before setting them on a smaller plate. I set this in front of Cassius, then I pour some tea out of the heated pot into Cassius's cup before finally stepping back, hands clasped together. Luckily, Cassius and Virginia act like I'm not there, carrying on their conversation. Only Neferu seems to be constantly aware of my presence, occasionally glancing at me. Are you enjoying your stay here, Neferu? Neferu snaps his gaze from me to Cassius. Oh yes, very much. You've all been so hospitable to me. I thank you. Cassius waves his paw. That's the woven way, Neferu. No thanks are needed. Another moment of silence stretches out before Virginia reaches for a plate. Can I get some pananim, Neferu? But Neferu suddenly stands up. Actually, I should be on my way. I can tell that you intended to speak with your sister alone, Cassius. Good day, and good day to you, Kyllian. I jump, but quickly duck my head in response. Neferu then wanders off into the gardens, his paws behind his back as he disappears behind the bushes and flowers. Cassius looks after him, his ears lowered, and the inside slightly red. He's rather blunt, isn't he? Alright, bro, I'm telling you, that dude's banging your sister. Like, 100%. Like, look at her, and look at him. Like, it just goes together. Two very attractive people. Just smash them right together. He's rather blunt, isn't he? Virginia doesn't respond, and Cassius looks over to see that she's glaring at him. What? He is our guest, Cassius. Start treating him like one. What? Cassius sighs and looks away, pouting. Virginia takes a sip of her tea before leaning back in her chair, letting the silence drag on a bit before finally speaking. What is it, Cassius? What is what? Why are you sulking more than usual? Cassius sighs. I am very busy, Virginia, and I freed up this portion of my day to have a good conversation. I've barely spoken to you since you returned, and I wanted to ask you about your trip. Cassius takes a brisk sip from his cup. It's difficult to speak intimately when others are around, especially those of a different species. Cassius, if you wanted to speak alone, you only had to ask. I was simply worried that Neferu was growing bored of the palace, so I invited him along. Virginia grins. And you don't have to play Emperor around me. I'm your sister. Lean back and relax a bit. Cassius sighs again, but doesn't lean back. I must play the role I intend to fit, even when the situation does not call for it. You think Father was always like that? I don't know. He did not speak to me much. Well, he wasn't. You can relax around me, Cassius. Cassius sighs and eats one of the crackers, leaning back into his chair very slightly. So how was Lux? Oh, you know, riots and crime and complaints about a lack of funding. Well, there is a lack of funding. There is a lack of funds, certainly, but not from us. You know, the officials there are corrupt and take most of it. That isn't the people's fault. No, but they should choose their politicians more carefully. They're electing officials based on how outrageous they can be. How does that result in a sound government? Oh, God, this is getting a little political. I 100% agree. The people are frustrated and the sentiment is spreading throughout the Empire. I've been telling you this for years. Certainly we all know this. The question is how to fix it. By getting rid of the triumvirates the people elect. If we ruled directly, the Empire would become as sound as the palace we govern from. And you expect to do that so easily? I expect it to be very, very difficult, and something I intend to do very, very carefully. The people need direction, and electing chaotic triumvirates is their cry for help. Sorry. Virginia doesn't say anything, instead taking a very dainty sip from her cup. Cassius clears his throat and sits straight up again. Anyway, why did you decide to bring Kyllian back with you? You never explained it clearly in your letters. But I did. His accommodations in Lux were rather poor. Bringing him here and acquainting him with the Imperial family seemed like the natural decision to me. You know he's the Pharaoh's second son? Yes, but why is he in Lux, and why didn't I know about it? Virginia shrugs. You can't expect to know about every diplomatic visit that there is. Anyway, he was touring the siblings and was in Lux when the depletion happened. My question is, why wouldn't the Pharaoh send a ship immediately to retrieve his own son? Alex makes sense, being your typical diplomat, but the son of a pharaoh? He chose to stay. Cassius snorts. And why would he do that? Virginia stares at Cassius for a moment, a frown on her face. Cassius, you know the reason as well as I do. Despite the absolute chaotic, bankrupt, parentless mess our empire is in, the Kyllians are willing to ally with us. He's trying to help establish that. They're taking advantage of us when we're at our weakest, Virginia. You know how I feel about this, and that I have no plans for an alliance. I'm planning for all scenarios, Cassius, and as of now, you aren't guaranteed the emperorship. Cassius doesn't say anything, staring at his empty plate. Slowly, I walk up to the table and refill the plate. Neither of the wolves look at me. We should be grateful the Kyllians even want to speak to us. None of the other siblings want to be associated with a race that seems to have been abandoned. We don't know that yet. Well, they aren't speaking to us, are they? And they left us starbound. If this is permanent, we may never be able to travel beyond the star system again. That catches my attention. Didn't Amicus tell me that when he becomes emperor, he'd be able to take me back? Like they won't have to stretch drive forever. Cassius laughs. Once we have a new emperor, they will give us guidance again. They stopped immediately after Father's death. What other explanation could there be? They didn't after Grandfather's death. Cassius waves his paw in the air. Because Father was in line for the throne without any challenge. The emperorship has not been in limbo like this in living memory. They're simply waiting for the Empire to have firm leadership again before re-establishing contact. Cassius snatches a cracker off the plate I just refilled. It's just happened before. Even if that was before Drusus. And even if we're not able to, I have no doubt that I can still lead this empire to prosperity. And how would we do that without the stretch? We'd not be able to communicate with our children anymore. If the Kyllians learned the stretch, then so can we. As for our children, abandon them. They've only been a burden anyway. Cassius glances at me and I quickly look down at the ground. Well, that's a fucking horrible thing to say. Virginia sighs loudly. Sometimes the things you say frighten me, Cassius. Well, you know it'd be less so if you were on my side, Virginia. I'm on no one's side, Cassius. It's my duty to serve the Emperor, no matter who that might be. You're on Amicus' side. It's as clear as Vita. Preference does not matter in the end. I don't like Cato, yet I serve him. Cassius' ears flatten as he looks around. Lower your voice when you say such things, Virginia. And are you saying you dislike me like you do Cato? Well, of course not, but like I said, your ideas are extreme. Radical ideas are needed for times like these. It's how I've gotten so far with these people. Well, I just remember that you and Amicus are both brothers, and I love you equally. Just be civil when the decision is made. Uh-oh. Cassius! We all jump as Amicus' voice seems to rattle the ivory on the pillars. Cassius settles back in his seat, rolling his eyes. What, Amicus? What the hell are you doing with my pet? Com says you have him. He wanted to serve me. How could I deny him? Do not lie to me, Cassius. I told you to never talk to him. Are you going to yell at me or tell me where you are so I can send him back? Where are you? I'm going to come out there. Cassius does look a little worried then. Come, where is Amicus? The main hall, Cassius. I'm coming out! Pet, go back inside and do not tell him where we are. Cassius shoos me away while Virginia just chuckles behind a paw. I make my way back inside, though Amicus meets me right at the entrance. He glares. What the hell does he think he's doing? What did he make you do? Amicus sets a paw on my shoulder, looking me over. Not much. I served him while he talked to Virginia. Unbelievable. Amicus makes as if to walk out into the gardens. Where are you going? Going to give Cassius a piece of my mind. I specifically told him not to. I set a hand on his arm, stopping him. Hey, it's fine. Is it? Because last I remember, he threatened to hit you. He didn't touch me at all. He ignored me the whole time. Amicus looks out into the gardens, while still clearly wanting to go out there. Listen, I just want to get his dance practice done. I've been worried about it all week. Amicus pauses, then sighs, turning back to walk into the palace. Ooh, excuse me. Fine, but when I let Cassius get away with things like this, he tends to push it even further the next time. We walk in silence for a bit, our footsteps echoing like they always do in the marble halls. Are you alright? I'm fine. Why? Well, you seem a little grumpy. It was just a long day in the city. Unlike Cassius, speeches don't come naturally to me. Something I just need to get used to. I walk alongside the wolf, feeling his furry arm brush up against mine. What's this? Can I get that off there? Okay, it's just part of his arm. Okay. So, when do I get to go to the city? The wolf tilts his muzzle down at me in surprise. Oh, you want to go? Well, yeah, didn't you say I could? It's kind of getting boring here. Well, I'd say once the first trial is done, you'd be introduced to the public by then, so everyone will know who you are when we go. Can I plan on that, then? Of course! I'm just surprised that you want to see the city so badly. Well, looking at it from the balcony all the time has me curious. Well, visually it's not all that impressive. There are cities out there with larger structures and attractions. Adastra is mostly a city for Imperial officers and their families. Still, we could find some entertainment, I'm sure. As long as it isn't like the films I've seen on your TV. Well, it would be live entertainment, but it would be somewhat similar. Actually, if you don't like that, then you may not like the dance I'm about to show you. I realize then that we're walking in a new direction in the palace, down a hall I haven't been through since Alex gave me the palace tour. Alright guys, I'm going to pause it right here. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, leave a super thanks or a tip if you can, it always helps. I'm actually planning on launching membership levels very, very soon. My artist, who is doing the last tier, well, he's had some stuff come up, so I'm just going to be launching the first 2 tiers. So, anyway guys, stay tuned for that. If you want to support me monthly and help me do this more full-time than part-time, that would be awesome. But anyway guys, I love you all. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye!